Hey, welcome back. This is the melee only account. My goals for the account are simple: obtain the best endgame weapons and defeat all of the bosses, all while only relying on melee weapons. Let me actually just start off by putting away the Devourer of God summon. Let me explain. As we have it, we accidentally defeated Poltergeist by mistake last episode. That means that we now have access to a whole bunch of upgrades from the Abyss, which is actually our first priority as we prepare for the fight today. So why am I here in the ocean, you might ask? Sure, this doesn't look like the Abyss, but we're here to collect pieces for the Abyssal Diving Suit, the one-stop accessory necessary for going to the furthest depths of the Abyss. Or at least have enough air for it anyways. If you don't know, when you run out of air in the Abyss, your health rapidly decreases. Oh, I'm dying quickly. Well, we still need a bunch of materials from the Abyss, so we'll be feeding 2 birds with 1 scone and also defeat a whole bunch of the Reaver Sharks. They dropped a new resource, Reaver Teeth, which we'll need for weapons, accessories, and maybe some new armor, which I don't know if I'll really need, but we'll see. After a quick trip home, I can go ahead and show you one of these new weapons. We can go upgrade our Baleful Harvester into the Last Morning, which is the final upgrade of the Horseman's Blade line. As a true melee weapon, it is capable of dealing very high damage, with explosive skulls that come flying from off screen. Anyway, we'll just be making return trips to the Abyss over and over until we have enough materials for the suit and enough teeth for the other upgrades. So here we are with the suit. It literally has a whole essay for the tooltip, but essentially, it makes it so that I can move faster, see better, have way more air, and don't take quite as much damage while I'm in the Abyss. It makes it super easy to stay a long time in the Abyss, and makes it significantly easier to get the Reaver Teeth. Not that the Abyss is all that safe of a place to be, mind you. Okay, I'm back with enough teeth for everything I want right now. The first thing I wanted to make was the Reaver Tooth Necklace, the upgrade to the Shark Tooth Necklace line. The necklace gives 15% increased damage and 15 armor penetration. The 15% damage is really easy to tell how good it is. The 15 armor penetration, not so much. I think the Devourer has some defense? Defense for enemies just reduces damage taken by half of their total defense. So, 15 armor penetration means 7.5 damage extra per hit. It doesn't really seem all that impressive when I say it like that, though again, 15% damage increase too. There's 2 more melee weapons I'm looking at, the Crescent Moon and the Galileo Gladius. One is a whip sword that shoots out homing crescent moons, and the Gladius is a short sword that fires homing crescents and drops these planetoids on true melee strikes. And can the nurse move? I'm trying to record an episode here. Not really my cup of tea, but the Gladius is really interesting in that it's a true melee weapon despite firing projectiles. Both of these weapons cause a debuff that deals 100 damage a second. That sounds really good on paper, but the boss we're going to be facing is immune to all debuffs, so both of these weapons aren't really all too exciting. As I was getting those last 2 weapons, I did the last set of menial tasks in getting ready for the Devourer fight. Making more cadence potions, fishing more blood fins, you get the idea. I did one other thing I should mention. I made a giant platform above the Sulfuric Sea and attempted to fight the old Duke, which is exactly when I should be fighting him. But today is not that story. Instead, welcome to the puzzle that is the melee Devourer of God's kill. But what exactly makes this fight so hard for melee? The Devourer of Gods is a giant worm-type creature with 82 segments in Phase 1 and 102 in Phase 2. Let's just focus on Phase 1 for now. Just like the Storm Mover we fought last episode, only the head and tail are vulnerable. All of these body segments have really high damage resistance. So then, just stay close and hit the head and tail, right? Well, it's ridiculously fast and speeds up as it reaches the 92, 84, 76, and 68% HP breakpoints. But that's not what makes it hard. Any damage you take from the Devourer, any laser, any projectile, and even just touching him causes you to take 2 debuffs, Godslayer Inferno and Whispering Death. One causes you to take 15 damage a second. The other causes you to deal 25% less damage and cuts all of your life regeneration to 0. This combo makes it impossible to tank the body damage. So everything points to you being as far away as possible, yet a melee only kill requires you to be closer, ideally in sword swinging range. So you get further away, and the other big problem with the Devourer becomes apparent. The head on my difficulty setting deals 750 base damage. If you notice that I only have 685 health, you could tell what the problem is. I can get that number down to around 250 damage with all of my buffs, but on average, I'm taking around 300 to 400 damage a hit if I make a mistake, without even adding the debuffs. So if I manage to avoid absolutely everything, ignoring the projectiles and the minions which I haven't even talked about, I get maybe 2 mistakes? Speaking of those minions, these Cosmic Guardians are basically mini Devourers with around 400 head damage. Devourer summons 1 at 90% and 2 at 75% HP. This, combined with a projectile attack that closes in on the player in an arc or an X style pattern, makes the melee-only Devourer fight a dance of death. So let's try to solve the problems one at a time. Damage-wise, the first weapon I want to try is the Lion's Heart, since it does really good true melee damage and has a 50% damage reduction during its special. Unfortunately, the burn effect from Godslayer Inferno makes this method impossible. We can also increase our damage output considerably by weaving in Grax and True Tyrant's Blade, but upkeeping the buffs will be difficult, considering the range and speed of the Devourer. Piercing weapons are the best way to deal damage. Banshee Hook, Terrorblade, and Crescent Moon can all deal damage to the tail reliably with projectiles that pass through the body segments. Though the last morning that we made earlier easily surpasses any of those weapons, with the biggest drawback being that it has to be in true melee range. Though right now, our biggest problem is with survival. I tried using the Vampire Knives and Terraria for healing, but their healing effects only work when hitting either the tail or the head, which makes them incredibly cumbersome to use. The Relic of Convergence is not a good option either. It takes 4 seconds to charge, slows your move speed by 50%, and only heals you for 70 HP, which means you're likely to take more damage than you heal. So let's try a new armor set. The Omega Blue armor has very high offensive stats, but negates all life regen. Instead, you get these tentacles that sprout from your back and lash out at nearby enemies, healing you for damage dealt. The only problem with the tentacles is that they only heal when hitting the tail or the head, which is running into the same danger as the knives in Terraria. What if we could instead reduce the amount of contact damage? We can try these 2 potions out, the Triumph Potion, which reduces contact damage based on enemy HP, and the Titan Skill Potion, which provides 5 defense and 5 damage reduction, bumping up to 25 defense and 10% damage reduction after a true melee strike. We could also use the Flesh Totem from Ravager, which reduces contact damage by 50% every 20 seconds, but I feel like these are all just band-aid solutions. There's actually another accessory from Ravager that will solve all of that. I went back to get the unique drop from Post-Providence Ravager, the Bloodflare Core. With the accessory, all damage taken will cause me to lose defense, up to half my total defense, but in exchange, it regenerates defense at 40 defense a second. Every point of defense recovered in this way heals the player for 1 HP. That means, provided I can be smart about moving around, my 200 defense will heal me for 100 HP every time I get hit. I have to be careful about getting hit twice in a row, as getting hit by another hit while at 100 defense would be lethal. Looking at the numbers, it heals roughly 40 HP per second, which beats out the 15 HP per second of the Godslayer debuff, though I also have to get hit to activate it, but I can choose to get hit by the lasers, Cosmic Guardian, or the body to trigger it, though I still have to pay attention. A laser into a head hit is an instant death combo. But with this new accessory, I can finally reliably make it to Phase 2. The first time you enter Phase 2, you get to face all 3 Sentinels of the Devourer again. Be aware that any of the Cosmic Guardians you haven't defeated still stick around, so you have to try to take care of them before the phase changes. Once the phase transition ends, the Devourer will come out of a nearby portal, maybe even sneaking a hit on you right away. Phase 2, the Devourer is significantly faster with more body segments. As it chases you, it now fires projectiles out of its mouth. Along with that, the Devourer now gets a new attack, a Laser Wall attack that pairs with the previous Cross Laser attack. During the Laser Wall, the Devourer is invisible, but still vulnerable to damage. After that, it bursts out of the portal, which will A, predict your movement, and B, fire a set of projectiles if the Devourer is below 36% HP, if we even have the luxury to worry about that. Hey, welcome to a new day, roughly 7 hours in since the last episode. You bet I took a break after getting to Phase 2. Let's just get some ideas out of the way. First, let's go pick up a sharpening station. I never picked up another one since I used my first one for the camper. It only increases armor penetration by a small amount, but I feel like anything helps at this point. I wanted to try out a new idea, the Pit of Death. A giant pit that makes full use of the bounces from Terrorblade, teleporters at the top and bottom, though you probably know what's coming next. You see, Calamity disables all teleportation during boss fights, including Magic Mirror. Well, we're back to the arena. Maybe there's a better weapon? Neptune's Bounty, the weapon I made fun of last episode, isn't all that bad here. Raining Tridents have homing, and since the tail and head are the main targetables, they usually home in towards them. Though, again, the Devourer is immune to all debuffs, so the Crushed Depths, which is the main effect of Neptune's Bounty, is useless. I also wanted to try out another weapon that's available to us, from the Illidan Worms in the Abyss. The Soul Edge fires souls that have homing and return to the player if no targets are found. It deals damage in a small area, but lacks the piercing to be fully useful. One last thing is that I finally decided to take the dive and build a sky bridge. They aren't all that aesthetically pleasing, but this fight is pushing me to my limits. The biggest problem I was having with the fight is that the Devourer's vertical movement is significantly more dangerous and faster than the horizontal movement. With a sky bridge, it will be a lot more manageable to move and dodge horizontally. You should also alternate the movement based on the direction of the body, otherwise, the Devourer might loop back around for another hit. This is especially true for phase 2. I'll be trying out one last change. I'm swapping out the Bloodfur armor for the Terragon armor. It provides vastly higher life regeneration while fighting from a distance. This loadout maximizes regeneration after getting hit, while also having multiple move speed buffs to keep me moving. The last piece of the puzzle is the final 18. After you get through the gauntlet of everything, 3 Cosmic Guardians shoot out of the portal. The Devourer is faster than ever. No more laser wolves, just you and the worms. All that's left for me is to reach that final 18 and make it to the finish line. My advice? Don't get hit. A little bit more. Yes! Yes! Hey, I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Melee Only. If not already clear, we'll be back to challenge the old Duke again, though there's something waiting for us in the jungle. If you're new here, feel free to check the description for a link to our Discord, as well as the link to check out Humble Bundle, a place to get great deals on games while also supporting your favorite charities. If you haven't checked out my video on the Starlight River mod, you don't want to miss it. Starlight River is Terraria's next big mod. Anyway, I hope y'all have a good one, and take care. Oh my god. 102. That's incredible.